Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished presenter, Shri Shirish Mahendru, is a technical expert, Smart SUT Sustainable Urban Transport Project at GIZ, is an experienced transportation planner with more than 11 plus years of experience. Most of his credentials are earned in addressing core transport issues such as enhancing city based bus services, transport visions, gender sanitization in transport, enhancing capacities of city and state transport organizations, policy interventions, assistance to strategy for shifting to alternative clean fuels like green hydrogen and electric based mobility, road safety auditing, and advocacy. He is presently associated with GIZ Groundwork for Sustainable Urban Transport Public Transport Project. Prior to this, he was associated with DIMTS Limited, handling various public transport consulting projects. Mr. Shurish is an alumnus of School of Planning and Architecture and has a master's degree in transportation planning. He is also pursuing his PhD in sustainable transport policy interventions. A very warm welcome to you, sir, and over to you, sir, for your presentation.
Very good day to all of you, to all the participants. Today I'm going to speak on the topic gender and mobility. So basically we'll cover about the measures which we can take forward the gender sensitive reforms in the public transport. This is how to make the women transport for women more safer in public transport. So we have today I'm representing GIZ. The GIZ implemented project Smart SUT Sustainable Urban Transport Projects been funded by the BMZ, the federal German ministry, and implemented by GIZ India and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So we have a three partner states, Odisha, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. And in that we have cities like Kochi, Thiruvananthapuram, uh, and Bhubaneswar and Coimbatore and Chennai. So we are doing various we were supporting various city authorities onto the various sustainable urban transport measures. And few of the measures we are supporting with respect to how to increase the women participation and how to make the system more reliable and more safer for women transport. So to start with this background, firstly, we'd like to understand how the women travel pattern in India is. So these are the different modes here. This data has been taken from the census data and census 2011 data. So this represents how the women mode share reflects. Like we have around 77% of the trips being undertaken by a woman through public and the non-motorized transport modes, and 83% of the women travel less than 10 kilometers. And we also know that the travel pattern varies with respect to across genders. I mean, there are different travel patterns which are there exist for women, and different travel patterns exist for men. For example, women have to undertake more household responsibilities and in the workforce, and so they tend to have the more home-based and the non-home-based trips as well. So the combination of home-based and the non-home-based trips. So and also there is a problem for the restricting mobility, and this has also been highlighted that the 83% of women travel less than 10 kilometers for work in urban area. And as we are also aware that there is a difference in the pay gap. For example, the casual pay labor, if it is women, this is average is around 244 with respect to on comparison the men it is 368. And similarly for the thousands per month for the regular labor, it is 15.7 thousand INR. With respect to the difference with the men is where the men stands for 19.5 on an average. And the major areas of concern, which could be also a term as a prioritization for the PT travel for women, is the safety and comfort, affordability, coverage, and frequency. Transport is found to be one of the major, we know that transport is found to be major barriers for the women participation in the workforce. Women face public harassment in the public transport. For example, based on the different studies, women in Mumbai, they face 46% women face harassment. In Delhi, in Delhi case, it is 90%. And this is also very evident in the sense that right now there is no gender sensitive data. I mean the specific data related to gender information we are not gathering into the public transport system, rather it be it bus system. So it is very becomes very difficult to actually plan for specific travel, specifically plan for the women travel. This has emerged out as one of the major serious concerns. So if we start getting data with respect to, I mean, with more with the we have the women data, travel pattern related data, and the travel behavior data. We'll be able to travel. We'll be able to plan more in a better way. And another important thing is also here to highlight is that we have also seen that as the transport sector is generally a male-dominated sector. We see very limited representation of women here. So, for example, and even the 90 after 1980s, STU's assistant this state transport undertakings allowed women to apply for the post of conductors and drivers. And uh, we will also talk about the current infrastructure assessment of the public transport system. Here we can see that the infrastructure plan generally for the transport sector is not very women friendly, or is not that friendly to women. For example, we can see in the first foot, we can see there's a high foot board causes the issues in boarding because across India we have a different attires being worn by women. So this becomes little uncomfortable for them. We don't have a segregated pathways. There is a problem, like for example, this bus stop design on the extreme right, on the upper side. This has they have the uncomfortable stop designs, right? So and this becomes really difficult for things overall. And there is no see for the off peak hours we could also understand there's right for the off peak during the peak hours there are people around, so there's a sense of safety still persists. But during off peak hours or during the light hour, I mean the late hours, the absence of any vending zones and the no real time immersion, this adds to the less safety to for the women travelers. For example, this is narrow gauge gangways, and then we also observe it. This is very evident that we all most of the secondary streets across our cities have very less luminescence. I mean, there's less or limited or no light even. To understand to while we understand these issues and even the states and the authorities understand these issues, so we try to have with our cities, partner cities, we try to understand the problems and issues, and we also try to highlight the uh, through what are the real problems in face and what could be the possible solutions we can suggest to. So therefore, we did certain different studies for our partner cities like Kochi, Thiruvananthapuram, and then Bhubaneswar also to understand what are the issues being currently faced and what are the changes required, what are the solutions can be the possible solutions for this. So uh, I'm going to talk about one we supported Kerala government with the mobility for women in Kerala. So how we can make a public transport safer for women. So we try to understand, we try to analyze the problems of women with respect to, I mean, with respect to how do they currently travel, what are the problems they feel. So we did various focus group discussions with students, we did focus group discussions with scholars, I mean, with college goers and the university students, and then also with the working women and the Kudambashiri. There are different self-help groups like Kudambashiri, all women self-help groups which are prevailing in Kerala. So we also discuss the problems with them. And we try to understand if they face any kind of harassments, impact of mobility, and the factors affecting what are the factors which affects women's safety, and how is the response towards the harassment, if there are any grievance redressal system there, or how quick is the grievance redressal system to, and how quickly they act on the complaints received. We also did some focus perception surveys on site with the public transport users and the non-users as well. Uh, I'm sorry. So we try to understand. We did various user surveys on the bus stops, terminals at different locations to understand, and also during the different times of the day to understand what are their travel patterns, what is their travel experience, and especially how do they feel about night. and have they faced any kind of a harassments, or what priority actions do they require, what they feel is the should be the priority areas for the government to work upon. And also we try to understand through gender lens. We try to make some assessments through gender lens. I mean, how are the facilities and infrastructure set up by the governments? How convenient are they for the women riders or the women passengers? For example, is there any information? I mean, pre information available for the users so that they can plan their travel accordingly. Are there any crime preventing elements? Are the system or the infrastructure accessible? Are there any problems with respect to visibility and overall, I mean, the safety with respect to the safety standards? Uh, these are the prioritizing actions. I mean, based upon the focus group discussions, perception surveys, we had the discussion with various women travelers, women passengers, and they tried to these are the key areas where they feel that the priority should be taken. For example, they feel that they should be the bus stop should be well lit, and they should be have the CCTV cameras. They feel the need of a rapid complaint redressal system. They need they understand that if there is a real time information about the system and the infrastructure they have, they would be better position to make the travels beforehand. And they also feel the need of the reliable buses, low floor buses. And we also understand, we this, as I already explained, the transport sector is a male dominated society. So if the problems need to be understood through the gender point of view, it is very important. We need to have a more women participation into the from the employment side of it. So they also feel there should be a trained female driver. There should be frequent patrolling at night, and there should be for the even for I mean, for the bus transport, for the metros, the main line travel, I mean the main haul travel is the one thing. There is also problems associated with the first mile and the last mile. So the alternate drivers, they need to be very sensitized. They need to feel very responsible. This can also be the examples with respect to female auto drivers. There has been an initiative taken in the cities like Bhubaneswar. They are planning for the first mile, last mile auto services with respect with crude bus system, the crude bus system, the capital urban transport system, where they will be driven by women and the transgenders. So this gives more sense of safety to the women who are actually driving, especially during the late hours. So clean, hygienic public toilets, and also for the women. The As I've already explained, the grievance redressal system is very important. How quickly you react on the uh, uh, complaints given, I mean, registered by the women, it is very important. This gives more safety, and this gives more, reinstate the more trust in that in the system overall. As I have already explained, it is very important. Right now, the very little efforts or very minimum efforts are being taken with respect to understand the women mobility. Once we have the data related to women mobility, because right now this is aggregated data. We have the passengers data, but across passengers we don't disaggregate data with respect to how many women passengers are there, how many elderly women passengers are there, how many students with respect to girls and the women who are traveling into the system, so that we can have a better planning for overall system. So we can accommodate all the different sections across genders. We can accommodate into the public transport, make the public transport more safer. For example, so we also try to make an attempt with our state partners to how we try to establish a data collection framework, gender specific to disaggregated data collection framework, so that the bus companies and the state state transport undertakings, or the bus or the city bus authorities, or the different authorities, for example, KMTA or the mass transit authorities, start analyzing data and start collecting the gender disaggregated data, the separate data for men and women. For example, this will help in, for example, if we have to start getting data for ticketing data, for example. So this help in helps us in understanding the stopwatch boarding and lighting. They'll help in understand where we have the where we have the peak boarding, where we have the maximum boarding through women, so that we can plan those areas accordingly, where the maximum women are boarding through onto the particular bus system, the particular route. So we can plan those routes accordingly. And this could be the very important information which we can also put into our comprehensive mobility plans. For example, once we have this data at the city level, we can have a better planning of the system. So what are the trip purpose, trip plans? What are the total trip plans? As we have also registered that the maximum movement travel to the shorter distance travel. So once we have the complete information about complete information about the travel patterns across genders, we'll be able to give the better justification and better planning for the comprehensive public transport system. Uh, then another important thing is one is the how the women are traveling to public transport. The second is how is the employment within the women of women within the transport. So it is very important to have a employment within the women to reinstate more trust within this public transport system where the women, for example, then we also need to have a understanding of the the current status, department wise, the what is the percent of women staff, and then the decision making profiles, as the decision making profile being currently handled or not handled, and how many other driver conductors, depot managers, and ticket checkers are between them, are how the division of employment is taking place. Then we need to have a infrastructure upgradation. We can do better infrastructure upgradation. We have the police patrols, participatory street audits, blind spot mapping. So because it is very important to understand and to actually assess the infrastructure through gender lens. And we generally skip this kind of a things, but it becomes very important, and to actually uh, to put a comprehensive to plan a comprehensive public transport, it becomes very important. To grievance redressal system should be very accurate. They should be very time bound. And we also need to have a comprehensive data records on the harassment issues. Like in the past, record data should also be there. There has been an attempt in different cities. I believe we should also appreciate the efforts made by Bhubaneswar, especially Capital Region Urban Transport System. They are the one who is responsible for the city bus system in Bhubaneswar and Bhubaneswar, Puri, and those areas. So they have started from, I think, since last year. They are getting this data with respect to the specifically for the gender information. For example, they have the general male and the general female, senior citizen females, and the blinds. And so they have the separate information for the different women. So this helps. I'm giving you very quick examples. Uh, Once we have these kind of data, this can help in understanding of the women ridership. It is either daily route wise, their origin destination patterns, and the how which routes are being most used by the women, their lighting patterns. This also helps in understanding and identification of hotspots, routes where women passengers travels at night. And then we if we understand if we know about the travel pattern boardings and lightings of the on a particular stops, and we can have the infrastructure assessment, we can have the infrastructure planning based upon our travel patterns. I mean, this is required for all sections, but this is very important. This can highlight, and this can help you identify the dark spots, service assessment, special buses. If there are only women-only routes can be planned, and the CCTV cameras on the hotspots and the police patrols can be accordingly planned. So the number of factors we can help in identifying these things, and this can this can help in understanding the better issues in the better way for the authorities, for the transit authorities. With respect to infrastructure assessment, there has been an attempt made in the past. Urban bus specifications too have been done. To actually, they consider the related to the travel requirements for the women. For example, they have the wider gangways now. There has been proposed greater than equals to 700 mm, and the windows at the 1200 mm and things like that. And continuous or schedule-based recording, including foot operated micro pedals and the hydraulic seats. I'm sorry, with adjustable angle and height, so that it is fit for all kind of drivers, either men or women. So features like CCTV cameras inside buses and in fact cameras inside the buses, manual ramp, exclusive space for field chairs, buzzers for the bus stop, will yes, this all things, everything makes more I mean travel more accessible for passengers and also with the passengers with the disability. We also try to look into the regulatory and policy requirements. Currently, this now I'm talking with respect to how the employment of women can be increased into the transport sector. We tried to analyze various motor vehicle rules and with respect to different states. And we for example, this Delhi Metro Motor Vehicle Rule 1993, this this particularly talks only about a particular gender. I mean the male, the male part of it. I mean, for example, you can yourself see that they mention all the requirements with respect to addressing the as a he carries an authorization from owner. He has to educate. He has adequate knowledge. He possesses a good moral character. So this is very important to make this gender neutral, and there are also states which have a bifurcation with respect to men and women. They give due considerations about the based upon the average heights. For example, men has average different average height in the country, and the female has a different average height, and they also there are average weight. So they have taken these considerations, and they have done they have the separate eligibility criteria. So we need to have a gender neutral policies and regulations so that we can invite more and more women to participate into this and can have employ more and more women into the transport sector. What kind of policy changes we can think of is that, well, we need to have a strategic action plans for inclusion of women. We can authorities can think of something like half decadal or decadal targets. There can be an agency which can be made an anchoring agency who mandate every organization and have a review like annually, biannually, or every review in next every 2 or 3 years, so that we can have a check on that whether there have been targets have been fulfilled or not fulfilled, or interdepartmental coordination for setting of women targets, women employment targets, separate restrooms, reg facilities, and pickup and drop facilities. And we also need to have a very conducive and safe environment for the night shift as well, as this requires the demand for the because some certain require 16 hour shifts I mean the 16-hour operations are there, so we need to have there may be situations where there we need to have the different shifts based upon the requirements, so we need to have a very conducive environment based upon that. So what kind of this now I'm specifically talking with respect to employment of women in transport sector, what kind of initiatives authorities can think of. For example, they can have a special outreach programs, special recruitment drives, advertisements, and campaigns targeting for women with the help of female role models. It is very important. Once we have the female role models, this helps in reaching to the right. I mean, making the campaigns and reaching to the right candidates also sometimes, because this and developing in a woman conducive environment is already explained. So relaxation in eligibility norms. Sometimes it happens that there may be a difference in eligibility norms with respect to policy and regulations we already have. So on-job training, on-site training, it is very important. We can achieve those kinds of things and train women to do the certain roles. And recruiting women in decision-making roles, recruitment at all levels, at level 1, 2, 3, and especially women recruitment for the drivers and conductors, and then also the target-based recruitment, as I always set quotas or reservations to passenger women hired, and setting up a quota for hiring a woman posted to the applications, and in internship trainings, we can think of having an internship training so that they gain the experience during onset. I mean, this can also be rated as an onset training. And once, as we are also working, as I mean, once the authorities also started working onto the women employment, it is equally important to have a gender awareness. they need to be sensitization within the employees towards inclusive work environment, use of internal campaigns, trainings to create a tolerant working atmosphere for the women. We need to have we aware of that the pay gap, and this needs to be pitching. This needs to be bridge between the different women and the men in the transport sectors. We can think of a separate women help desk, establish women networks to assist female employees in navigating male-dominated society environments, supporting their members, coaching and mentoring, and facilitate career development. So gender-inclusive human resource policies can be think of, and employee-oriented working arrangements, flexible work schedules, proportionate pay system according to the work schedules, and because we also need daycare centers, preschools, providing child care preschool facilities at the within the near or to the near workplaces or near to the workplaces. Work shift adjustment with respect to with young children, maternity leave provisions, and the re-entry policies should also be think of, and there should also be parent-friendly policies, extended, for example, extended leaves for parents and the proportionate pay. So these are the certain attempts we can make, and these are the certain policy level decisions which we can make to make employment of women into the transport sector more comprehensive, and also once we have the we need to tackle this into the both sides of it. Since right now is the women at the transport sector is a male dominant sector, we need to have a more women. And once we have the more women into this stream, they understand the problems, they relate to the problems, and sensitization is also, equally important. And we also need to parallelly work upon how to actually make public transport safer for women. As I've already explained, the gender, the data, disaggregated gender data is very paramount, and could be the uh, first step to address these issues. Kerala has also realized this. KSRTC, Kerala State Road Transport Corporation, has started the pilot things, and they have started doing it for the pilot, some of the pilot routes. So this data will start coming up. Then they start analyzing. Once they start analyzing the data, they will understand the travel patterns and travel behavior and the travel requirements also with respect to specific to women. So this is the overall. I'm trying to explain about how important is this and sensitive the topic is, and how it better important and right to currently tackle for this particular issue. Any questions? Anything? I'm here to answer that. Let me know if there are any questions and queries. Thank you.